Welcome. This is your teacher David Garcia, and today we're going to talk about the midpoint. Now, we're going to see specifically a variation of the problems we saw in the previous video. The problems concerning the midpoint that we solved before go more or less like this. You have a segment, you have the endpoints, we will call them point 1 and point 2, and then right here in the middle we have the midpoint, which is normally what we're looking for. Now, what happens if instead of this, they give you the midpoint, but they don't give you one of the endpoints and they ask you to get it? How do you do that? So let's set up an example and let's begin with one of the endpoints, which for practical purposes, we will call point 1. And they tell you that the endpoint is found at negative 0.1, comma 8.8. And then they give you the midpoint. And they tell you that the midpoint, which we will call PM, is found at 10.2, comma negative 7.1. And we have to find the other endpoint. In other words, we have to find point 2. Okay, that means that we will find, or we will be looking for, x2 and y2. Now, if we remember our formula from our previous video, we know that the midpoint that has the coordinates xm and ym is equal to x1 plus x2, and this is divided by 2, and the y's are identical, y1 plus y2, and then they are divided by 2. So let's begin with the x coordinates. So our formula, sorry about that, our formula will go something like this. Xm, there we go. Xm equals x1 plus x2 divided by 2. So we are going to have to isolate x2. So first of all, the 2 is dividing, so it will have to go to the other side, multiply. So 2 times xm will be equal to x1 plus x2. And then the x1 is adding, so it will have to go to the other side, subtracting. And there we go. We have our x2 isolated. So let's rewrite it. Let's do a little arrangement in here. Here we go. And now we can do the substitution. If you see, xm, which is the coordinate for the midpoint, the x coordinate for the midpoint is 10.2. And x1 is negative 0.1. There we go. So we can do the substitution. So x2 will be equal to 2 times 0.2, right? Minus negative 0.1. We put these numbers in the calculator and we get that x2 equals 20.5. So we have this one ready. Now we have to do the same for the y coordinate. Now, the good thing is that if you look at the formula, that is ym equals y1 plus y2 divided by 2, this format is identical to this one here. Therefore, the isolation for y2 has to be equal to the isolation of x2. So let's just copy our formula in terms of y. So y2 will be equal to 2 times ym minus y1. I literally just copied this formula, but instead of x's, I used y's. So now I can do the substitutions in the same way as before. Ym is negative 7.1 and y1 is 8.8. So I have that y2 equals 2 times ym, negative 7.1, minus y1, that is 8.8. I put these numbers in my calculator, and I get that the answer is negative 23. So I have my y2 coordinates. So my point 2 will be found at 20.5, comma, negative 23. That's it. That's how you get point 2 or the other endpoint in this variation of the problems for midpoint. Thank you very much, and I will see you in our next video.